Hey there, folks. Welcome to another edition of Stranger in a Southern Land, and I am proud to announce that this episode is sponsored by Birdsong Brewery, brewing flavorful, unfiltered, quality craft beers in Charlotte, North Carolina. Birdsong beer is available in numerous locations in Charlotte, North Carolina. Birdsong Brewery provides a wide variety of seasonal and limited releases, as well as year-round favorites as Free Will Pale Ale and Jalapeno Pale Ale. Their tap room is open Tuesday through Sunday, and on every Thursday they have Thirsty Thursday, where they have a small 10-gallon batch released to the public. So feel free to visit them online on the web at birdsongbrewery.com or head on down to the tap room and tell them that Jake Manning from Stranger in a Southern Land sent you there. So I'm very happy to have Birdsong Brewery on board as a sponsor to this show. And speaking of Birdsong Brewery, we have an actual regular performer in their tap room. John Dungan is on the show. He's a local musician, a wonderful local musician, but he's just not on the show to talk about his music and what he does and the way he plays. He's actually doing something very unique and wonderful. Him and his wife are both founders of a musical charitable event called ZaneBash, which it's a wonderful, wonderful charity that goes to benefit children of Down syndrome. John and Kai both have a child who is diagnosed with Down syndrome, and instead of internalizing that, they pay it forward in a sense and give back to a community that helped them in a difficult time. So it's a really wonderful interview, and I'm very excited to have John on the show to talk about his music and as well the charitable event of ZaneBash. But speaking of wonderful individuals doing wonderful things here in the Southeast, this weekend, Friday, February 27th, Freight Train. Hopefully you know who Freight Train is. I got a feeling if you know who I am, you know who Freight Train is. But anyways, Freight Train is promoting his own wrestling show, which is coming up in Albemarle, North Carolina. It'll be at the Albemarle Rec Center. Bell time will be 7:30. And Freight Train, George South, Dynamite, and a lot of the $5 wrestling guys will be on the show. And then on Saturday, Omega Championship Wrestling returns to Durham, North Carolina. I do know that they had a last-minute venue change, so please make sure you go to their website, omegalives.com, for all the information. A lot of great superstars on that show. You got the Hardy Boys, you got Hurricane Helms, Tommy Dreamer, Mick Foley. It's going to be a real big one. They always draw wonderful crowds for Omega Championship Wrestling. But like I said, make sure you go to the website, omegalives.com. Now, if you want to know about more of my appearances and more info about me, make sure you check out my website, sslshow.com. We've got a lot of the archives of the previous shows, as well as upcoming appearances for myself and other ways that you can get in touch with me via social media. So, now with no further ado, let's jump into this interview with John Dungan. I know, on the couch. Wow. Yeah, can you hear yourself all right?
Get your truck out there.
Yeah, you had a great shot and stuff like that. Well, I mean, hopefully most people, like I said, most people are probably going to listen to the audio, but I add the video aspect to it because that's what I know.
Hold it up like this. How far you want it?
Wherever it's most comfortable for you. Can you? As long as you don't sound like this.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah. So you hear yourself okay? We're all right?
Yeah.
So we're already...
This is a weird turn of the morning. This is good.
Well, if you want your kids to come in yelling and screaming, we could do that too.
No. The cat may show up.
Okay, that's okay. Like I said, I'm not allergic, even though my girlfriend is. So, and like I said, I have a random black cat that walks by my house. So.
He senses that, I think.
I think so too, and that's the funny part too is that my girlfriend's African American, so there's this black cat that shows up and and she'll give my girlfriend dirty looks like, "What are you doing here? Meow." You want to pet me and let me in. And the black cat will just walk right in like it owns the place.
That's great.
Like it's live there.
Look, he's just like, yeah. This is normal.
Yeah, it's just hanging out. This is what we do.
I did have to shave this morning. Because you know how you mean.
I know
feel me.
Yeah.
I
got another one. I got another one of these tomorrow, so I kind of need to do it tomorrow.
I was looking rough. I said, we gotta look better.
Exactly. I had a little hair growing off right here, so I had to fix that too. Yeah. I always get those ones that are like really super long, but they're like invisible.
Yeah.
So like I see it underneath here all day, and I can't find it later on that night.
I tell you,
that's my problem. But anyways, John, here we are.
Here we are
We're
on the couch.
On the couch, doing this little experiment. I appreciate you taking this venture with me.
It's my pleasure, absolutely.
Yeah, you're one of the first guys to take the plunge with me in this project. So
Yes, yeah.
I appreciate it.
Oh,
if I'm
you're
going
welcome.
down, I'm taking my friends with me.
Hey, exactly. I'll take it.
So anyways, John, music. how's that come into your life?
It's music has been great lately. It's a little hard to play as much with two boys that are one's 3 and one's almost 2.
Yeah.
So it's a little hard to juggle that, and as also being a stay-at-home father. Not today, but so yeah, it's a juggle to play music, but I try to get out and play. Not necessarily always playing my material, but playing covers at some gigs and all that, just to make some money and kind of keep exercise those muscles, if you will. So, but music's good. It's kids take a little bit precedence, but yeah, but it's better than it's been in a long time.
Well, when you were a kid, when did you realize you were musical? Because I can tell you when I found out when I wasn't musical, which was in college, and I bought a bass guitar.
Wow.
I really went for it. I bought a bass guitar. I went all in, and then I found out I had no rhythm, and I realized that was one of the requirements of a bass guitar.
Yeah, you're sort
player.
of the backbone. Yeah.
Yeah. So when the backbone has no rhythm, I figured there's not a lot of people that are going to.
That's great. You picked the bass guitar because that's not something that people normally pick up.
Well, there was less strings, so
Well,
I thought I was.
You don't have to chord it. Yeah.
Yeah. I thought I was going for the easy route.
Yeah. So I was probably 10 or 11, and let's see. The music at that time was probably like I listened to a lot of like the Fox, and so it was a lot of Southern rock and all that. And
so you grew up in Charlotte.
Yeah, grew up in Charlotte, and then
okay, so you're rarity. You're the
I'm the native.
You're the unicorn.
Yes, yes, and but it was right at that time too. Think like Guns N' Roses, Appetite for Destruction, all that end of hair metal, and that was kind of what I was. I don't want to say I was into it, but those are the things that like got me into guitar. And then all of a sudden I realized I could play guitar. And then people would say, "Oh, you have a great voice." And I was like, "Oh, I didn't realize I had a great voice." And then I just sort of, I think from those people's, other people's encouragement, I said, "Well, they like it, so I guess I'll just keep at it." And I enjoyed it, but if it were on me to decide that I sounded good, I would have probably never kept playing. I had other people say,
just strummed and
they just said, yeah, and people said, "Oh, you should keep singing." I said, "Oh, all right, I guess I will."
Okay.
So, and I've been doing it since 10 or 11. I do cringe listening to stuff from age 12, 13, 14, 15 on.
Oh, you still have some of that
So,
stuff?
oh, yeah.
Like on VHS or
VHS, cassette. Yes.
So were the parents supportive?
Yeah, absolutely. I think when you have 3 kids, I was the youngest of 3, and when you have 3 kids that won't, or let's say my brother is 4 years older than I am, so you have, my brother wanted a guitar. Mm-hmm. Well, then I wanted a guitar. Uh-huh. You're talking about a $200, $150 instrument that you're asking for Christmas or something like that. So we try to keep it as cheap as possible, I think, at first, and then until it realized that it was something that I was good at and enjoyed doing. And then later on, maybe like in college years, they were real supportive, and they, helped me buy a really good guitar and a good sound system, and I just paid them back from gigs. So They were real supportive, from the get go. So
that's awesome. What'd your parents do?
What do they do?
Yeah.
So my mom was a teacher for many years.
Okay. My mother was a teacher as well.
Yeah, and then and then I think from the stress of teaching, she went to being an assistant
Went crazy?
teacher. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it runs in the family. So my sister is a teacher as well. Okay. My dad was he is still a civil engineer, and he's worked for a couple construction companies. And he's kind of, my mom's retired. My dad is semi-retired, I think, just to get out of the house. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, they so comfortable, a comfortable life growing up. But they were very supportive of that, and drove me to the gigs if I was, under 16 and things like that. But yeah, real supportive.
Okay, well that's awesome. So, do you start a band, or you're just like, I'm just a solo guy, I'm gonna sing the
Yeah,
songs, and because like I can sing, so why do I need anybody
right.
else?
Yeah, so I would start playing with a buddy of mine. We kind of started playing together, and yeah, we two guitars, and he didn't sing much, but you know, you needed someone to like rip a solo, you know, very slash when we were, you know, very slash CC DeVille at the time. So you have to have
Okay.
someone that's got to have a solo in every song.
Of course.
And so we do that, and then yeah, we would naturally start a band, and I played in bands in high school with several different people, in college, and then I was up at NC State. That was my second school I went to. I was in NC State playing in a band, and I realized that I wasn't really focusing on my studies, and so I moved back to Charlotte, and then started back at UNC Charlotte, and then I realized that I could do this solo and write songs and play out at some bars and, you know, make a little bit of money.
Okay. Well, how the idea of writing a song seems like so much work to me.
Yeah, it can be.
Like,
Yes.
like how did you like acquire that gift? Like, I mean, who taught you? Like, how's that thought process work?
I think you just start. I think the first few songs I wrote were just silly songs. Just kind of. In fact, I wrote a song called El Camino,
Okay.
which is pretty self-explanatory. Very short song, but it's fun, and you just have fun writing the songs. And then, you know, you're in junior high or you know, almost in high school, and you have a girlfriend, and then you try to like write a song. I don't know. It's just sort of organic. It's
So
nothing.
like you're just strumming away. All of a
strumming
sudden,
away.
a couple chords
Yeah,
hit you.
a melody comes to you, and you just sort of go with it. And then you bounce it off somebody, and you say, what do you think? And they, oh, that's great. And then you just keep going with it. Now, those songs are pretty bad if I look back at them, but it's pretty organic how it comes about.
But you know, you're putting something on paper. You're organizing, and it's those skills that teach you how to write songs.
Yes, and you know, it's trial by error. So you write songs, and you realize this is terrible, or you have people that really care about you and love on you, and they're like, oh, it's great, but it's so, you know. But then as time goes on, if you just keep it up, hopefully you write some good songs, and yeah, hear the dog in the background, don't you?
Yeah.
So yeah, you just keep doing it, and so when I was in high school, I wrote songs with bands that I played in, and then as I was in college, I would continue writing, and then you realize that there's work to it, like anything you do, any craft that you something that you care about, you've got to put in the time and the hours and have the discipline. And so that's when I realized that I should try to focus on it a little bit more and make my songs better. And even at this point in my life with two boys and no time, it's really hard to focus that time and discipline on writing songs. But when you have the time for it, it's work, but ultimately you get a good result if someone loves your song or asks you to sing it or request it. So, yeah, it's a very organic thing. It's not I think anything that's too labored, that takes too much. Well, I'm going to sit down and I'm going to start writing. That's not my personality. If it wasn't organic and just something that I was just going to love to do, then I didn't have any interest in it. So, but as you meet other songwriters and other musicians, and you realize the work they put into it, then you realize that this is something that I really need to. If I care about it, and I care about the listener, then I want to write the best song I can. If that means writing the song and rewriting the song and editing the song and make it the best possible song that it could be.
Okay. Like I said, because it's a foreign thing to me, but I'm sure putting together a wrestling match would probably be something pretty foreign.
Absolutely,
to you.
yeah.
You know, and it's one of the things I think people have minds for things like that. Like you said, it comes out with organic. Like sometimes for me, I could take a look at an opponent, like, okay, do this, okay, and we're this on the card, okay, and then we do, you know, and I think that's, you know, people find those gifts, and a lot of people find their gifts in life and what they're good at. You know,
my sister had said a long time ago. I think I was at Appalachian. It was my first year in college, and she sent me a letter, and just as kind of at the end of the letter, she just said, "Hey, just remember that our talents are some of the best gifts that we can give ourselves, And so I always just kind of remember that it's not forced. I love it, and it makes me really happy. But yeah, my wife, she does medicine. She has a mind for that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I have no clue.
I wouldn't either.
I
did very bad at chemistry. You wouldn't want me prescribing anybody anything.
And let's just say, like, there's people that can read a book, as my sister would. She's an English teacher, and she can read the book. She can find symbolism, and I'm probably not even using the right terms, but she can, excuse me, she can find all these things and read into this language that I am pretty surface level. I have no clue. I didn't see that there. Mm-hmm. When they pointed out to me, I go, oh, that's great. But yeah, that's her thing. And I think music is just my thing. Whether I'm good at it or not, that's fine. But I do get it a lot of times. So, and I'm mostly by ear. I can't read music. So I can kind of sit there and I can figure out a song. I can probably tell you where it's going to go, maybe. So yeah, it's just something it's in me already. Just like you wouldn't want to see me step into a ring.
Well, don't worry. There's not a lot of people who want to see me step in one ring a lot of you recently. So that's I completely understand that. So now that we're doing some parallels here, now I can only imagine some of the gigs that you've probably gotten, because I think music, starting off is very similar to independent wrestling.
Absolutely. I think that's why I like independent wrestling, which I don't get to watch much of it these days. But what I like about it is that it parallels. You could essentially drive 8 hours to a match, set up the ring, do whatever you have to do on your end. But you're selling merch. You're promoting yourself constantly. You may walk out of there, and this may be generous, you may walk out of there making $100.
Very generous.
Very generous. And for what you put into it, you've got to do it because you love it. Essentially, you've got to do it because you love doing that. And and when I play, let's say I play a certain bar, and they're going to pay me $100 for a couple hours. That's great. But in those kind of gigs, I'm usually playing material that people know, and they would like to hear. I mean, I don't play my songs at those shows. Yeah,
because you've got to appease everybody.
Right. But then you have bands, like there's a local band called Amigo, and a great band. And I remember seeing they were playing, I think up in New York, and I think they all sing, if I'm correct. But they played this one gig in New York where they were asking people, like, I think they had one microphone. So you have to work with what you're given. You're probably not going to make a lot of money unless you sell merch. They parallel completely. I think that's why I appreciate all that, independent wrestlers do. All the work they put into, because you don't do it because you're going to try to make money out of it.
Yeah, and you realize these people aren't like these huge stars that are unapproachable, that don't even... Like you can't get behind, like if you see a guy wrestle in the ring and you're like, oh, if he's just a star, why do I care? You know what I'm saying?
Right.
But if you see a guy like, man, this guy's struggling, I'm really going to get behind him, and I'm going to get behind his performance. You know what I'm saying?
He's working hard. He's promoting himself. It's funny too. There are those parallels of those people of musicians, and I'm sure wrestlers as well, that get out there. They do get a little bit of notoriety, a little bit, a niche notoriety.
Yeah, the people pay a ticket or two.
Yeah, and then maybe they and they get a little cocky, and that happens too. But I do love those guys that are humble and work hard and are in it for, the passion for it. Not if the money comes along, that's awesome. But it's not the thing that they're, and maybe some are striving for that, but it's not what they're all about.
Yeah, and like we talked before we came on, was you talk about, like, I always say this a lot, is like I tell young wrestlers all the time, like, you can't be a bag roller. You can't be, I show up an hour before bell time, I roll my bag in, I do my stuff, and I leave. You can't do that anymore. And I'm sure in music, it's a lot of the same ways. You just can't be like, oh, I got my guitar case, I'm going to plug in and do this. You have to understand your brand. You have to understand your merchandise. You have to understand and use this music to make some money.
And be thankful to folks that come out to a show. So like if it's been a while since I've played the evening news, but when I have, you talk to people beforehand, and I'm glad to talk. I'm happy to talk with people, but you talk with people beforehand. You talk with them after. So not only are you singing for a certain amount of time, but you're talking before and after, and you're hanging out with people, and that's great. But it's not just like, thank y'all for coming. I'm showing up, plugging my guitar in, and singing my songs, and then I'm out. There's so much more to it.
Yeah, and you talk about like guys that are good with graphics and guys that invest in systems and stuff like that. And then you're talking about one project that I worked on was the Freight Train documentary,
right?
And a friend of yours was talking about Audio Jungle, where he basically just writes stuff and puts it online, and then people buy it to use it for whatever video projects they need.
Right.
For people to do that on
It's
top
amazing.
of the music, on top of that, I'm telling you, you really should get into this Audio Jungle stuff. It's like I've seen people like they put something up and they've got 10 buys. And people are buying it for $20. I'm sure Audio Jungle gets a cut of that.
Right.
But, you do the math there.
Well, and that's a way that he can, and like for this individual, you can make money.
Yeah.
By working out of your house in your studio. And it's, I think nowadays in anything like let's say wrestling, music.
Any type of independent arts.
Right. You have to, even if you were like a business owner, you have to be able to do everything, and you've got to have your hands in a little bit of everything to be marketable and to be valuable. So that's
and I think you just said something there that's important. Is you say business owner, you understand that this is a business, and you understand that you yourself is a business,
right?
And I think that's a lot of people say, I'm a performer, I do this, or us as people at this level, we have to understand that we're a business, and there's so much more potential out there.
Yes, and you have to deliver. If you're like when if I play down the street, and someone is paying me X amount to perform my songs or not, doesn't really matter. It is our contract, or verbal contract, whatever, is that I need to uphold my end of the bargain, and I need to. I'm not taking an hour-long break. I play my music. I take my break for a good amount of time, that depending on the hour, how long the gig is, but you just uphold your end of the bargain, and you're a business, and they're going to have you back. And if you are professional, and you just got to know your role. I don't know. I think you just have to know your role with whatever you're doing. So,
absolutely.
Yeah.
What's the strangest gig you've ever taken? Like one that's like, man, I don't know why they've wanted this. Like anything in particular that strikes you?
Yeah, I probably do. Nothing's popping in my head. I've had weird ones. I've played a gig one time in somebody's natural area, like with their pine straw. That's where they put me, and I was playing in the pine straw. That was kind of weird.
Okay.
I really have had some weird gigs, and you think you get so many of them that you sort of forget. I feel like
they all just blend in.
Yeah, they blend. And what happens is that people don't realize music sometimes is the last thing they think about. And so they pay you little for for the products you bring. They don't pay you as much. And then they'll put you in a weird spot. I mean, I played one gig. This was, I think, a cover gig, but I played one gig where I was right next to where the servers were coming out. So every time they came out, we had to lift our guitars up and move out of the way. You do that a lot. Yeah. So just weird stuff. Like, and I don't know, nothing's been particularly weird. It'll probably come to mind like as soon as we're done with this.
I'm sure
I'll totally
it'll pop in. You're like,
I'll remember
that would have
something.
been the best story ever. And like,
Absolutely.
There would have been so many hits on Jake's podcast. And I'm so sorry I didn't get that for you.
But
yeah,
so there's just so many that are just. And I think you have to be prepared for anything. Yeah. Be prepared that the room is a lot smaller than you anticipated. The room is bigger than you anticipated. No one's there. A lot of people are there. Maybe it's not your demographic. Maybe they don't care about music. I don't know.
Maybe they don't care that I'm here.
Yeah, I mean, you just...
That's the worst. That is the absolute worst. When you're out there performing and you're like, I'm pretty sure these people don't care.
They don't care. They think I'm like just music in the background.
Yeah.
I think anybody gets those if they go out and they play certain places, but it's just... There's just... I think you just have to be ready for anything. Yeah. And like with wrestling, you might have a full house, you might not have a packed house. You could have a really lame audience that's really not into it. You could have
a large audience that's extremely lame.
You could have
even weirder.
You could have an over aggressive audience. In fact, I remember this was right after Zane was born.
Zane Riley.
My second.
Zane your son. Zane your son. Yeah. After Zane Riley, when you were around, you were watching wrestling with Zane Riley. Right. 35 years ago.
I hung out with Zane and Caleb one night, and that was.
And good on you.
I paid for it the next day. I was in trouble because
they're professionals.
I was struggling.
As a pro wrestler, you have to be part rock star.
Yes,
as well,
exactly. So we did. I went to what was it? Zane, my son, Zane Dungan. He was born like March 16th, and it was at the end of March, I believe. It was enemy territory. And so my brother's
it was at Tremont.
Yeah, Tremont. My brother
first show there.
My brother's a huge wrestling fan.
Mm-hmm.
Not many people know that about him, but he's huge. I am like, I don't even touch where he is. I mean, I enjoy it, but he knows, right? He's
everybody in particular.
Yeah,
so he probably was there for Kevin Steen.
He knows it. So Kevin Steen's wrestling. Caleb Conley.
I think I know what story we're getting to.
Some crazy dude, hammered.
Yep.
I thought he was part of the, I thought he was with somebody because he was hanging out kind of, and he got, I forget what he did to Kevin Steen, but he
put him in a front face lock, which is an actual move that a lot of people don't know, which I was like, front face lock.
And what's funny was Kevin Steen was very nice about it.
He's a very nice individual.
He could have beat his ass.
There are people, and there was a moment where he could have like literally just picked him up and rammed him into those really awful plywood bleachers they have there, and really could have done a number on him. But he was very polite.
So
he very politely ejected the man off his body.
Yeah, and what's funny was after that, we were at the bar. I think. About to head out, and Amber O'Neill.
Yeah.
Okay. She was there, and she was like, "Oh, that guy better be glad because he could have just completely beat his ass."
Kevin had a real good opportunity to really mess his day up.
So you have,
but he chose very politely to push him off forcefully.
Sometimes you get those gigs where, like we were saying, it's lame. Sometimes you get it where it's good, it's great, and then sometimes you get it where it's over aggressive. I mean, where I'll have people that will essentially heckle. If I don't know a song, play some Pearl Jam. And I was like, it's not really my wheelhouse. If you listen to what I'm playing, you probably realize that I don't really know any Pearl Jam. I like Pearl Jam. I just don't know any Pearl Jam. And then they'll just heckle you and mess with you, and you're just kind of like,
you're making everything difficult for everybody right now.
Get the hell out of here, please.
You are making everything difficult.
Yeah,
sir.
so
it's like probably the fans that we want tables. Like, there's no table underneath the ring.
Yeah. We gotta pay for these, okay?
Yeah, you could see underneath the ring right now. You could see there's no table right now. There's no table other than these plastic ones, which are the worst to break.
It just comes down to anything you do. Even if someone's doing original music out, if they're doing, if they're playing bars uptown and they're playing cover material. You just never know what your crowd's going to be like.
You never know when there's going to be that drunk.
That's going to be, all up in your, trying to get on your microphone and,
making the show about them.
My buddy plays guitar, and you're like, well, that's awesome that he plays guitar. But yeah, so they do. I think I really do appreciate indie wrestling because of that. Because
we all know the struggles. We know.
You put up with it, and you just know this is just what and the more you do it, the more you can deal with it when you
appropriately
deal with anything, really.
And you come out on top.
I mean, y'all did. I will. If whoever's listening, so if they haven't seen that, was it Without a Mat?
What was it? Without a Mat. Yes,
Without a Mat.
It's on YouTube.
Yeah,
if you
it's
search
great.
George
it's
South,
great. But y'all wrestled
because Beyond the Mat is Without a Mat.
Y'all wrestled off Freedom Drive in the grass. Because the ring truck didn't make it.
Yeah.
And the show went on, and you did it, and you just kind of overcame that.
And the scary thing about that is I knew we were going to do that. I knew George was going to come over
and say
we're going to wrestle on the grass.
Absolutely.
I knew he was going to do that, and he was over there talking to the head guy and it was really weird circumstance. A lot of people don't know this. George's ring truck broke down, but also too our ring was getting fixed.
Just
so
perfect storm.
Yeah, so we didn't even have one at high spots. So, I mean, the only thing we could have done was take down the training school ring, which I wasn't about to do for this show.
And I've seen y'all take apart the ring before, and it is, it's no joke. I mean, that is a several man job.
Yeah, it's It sucks.
Yeah.
It's probably taken 2 or 3 years off my career. I haven't decided if it's 2 or 3, maybe 5 in some cases.
5.
But especially if we were still messing around with the ring that is now our training school ring, which is a heavy duty ring, and then we put reinforced rails in for the wood. So it is the heaviest thing I've ever lifted before in my life, and I still have a pin. I'm just now getting over it. Like my body now feels better about lifting stuff because I had a pinched nerve at one point in time, and I remember after lifting that ring for probably about 8 months, I remember carrying a side rail and feeling this pinch right in my shoulder blades of like a nerve. I'm like, this is
That's
not
why
good.
you have to love what you're.
This is not a good feeling to have, and this is the beginning of the day.
Yeah,
you know.
yeah.
So that, I mean,
Yeah, so that you just have to be. Like when I play somewhere, sometimes depending on what it is, I will take more equipment than I need, just knowing that I may need less.
yeah, because you sound like me. You got to be very prepared.
I'm trying to be prepared. That is my father, the engineer in me, that comes out that I am over prepared. I mean, I have, like I may have a rubber band. Okay, I'll just go. Oh, I'll throw it in my box of stuff because at one point
you never know when you're going to
that rubber band might just, I might need that rubber band.
Yeah.
So that's just how it goes. But that's for the guys that do original music, and I do original music not as much recently with the boys around, but that is even harder. At least if I play a bar or a restaurant and I'm getting paid so much to play for 3 hours, if I have to deal with an idiot, I'm still walking out making some money.
Yeah.
Those guys that are out pushing their thing, their brand and trying to sell merch, and they have to deal with idiots. And they're not walking away
because they're putting themselves their art out there.
Yeah,
you're just putting when
I
Patience by Guns N' Roses
right.
Out there,
if I'm doing that, then that's fine. But
like, okay, you didn't want to hear Axl.
But if you say these places play like a band plays, and the crowd doesn't really care for that type of music, and they're doing all original stuff on top of that, it's like the Blues Brothers when they did. When they sit there and play like Rawhide over and over again.
In the bar.
Just, so those guys that are out there touring, just like an indie wrestler that are out there, weekend to weekend doing these things, putting their brand out there for not a lot of money. That's passion. That's awesome. I respect that so much more. I'll be honest with you, I don't watch any kind of like WWE. Well, I don't have the capability to, but I don't really care to because I like seeing what the guys.
You like the struggle.
I like the struggle. I want to see that it's real,
Yeah,
and
because that to me is what makes it real. Is these guys willing to do it? Like somebody like a Cole Cabana that does a podcast, and and he also does all these other things. And then you get somebody like a Cliff Compton doing interviews and stuff like that at high spots, and then of course all these other guys, selling shirts, doing interviews, doing podcasts, doing graphic work, like Sammy Callahan, who's now Solomon Crow, he used to do a lot of graphics and video editing for wrestling shows. On top of being a fantastic wrestler, and now he's in WWE, and he's got all these skill sets.
I think that's what you have to be, just well rounded.
Yeah,
you just can't show up like you're saying with your bag and say, "All right, let's wrestle."
And it just makes you better because you see aspects that other people are saying,
and the whole business.
Yep.
How you book shows and you do all this, and you just even for a musician, you book shows and you promote and all that, and you realize just how much. Now we don't have
what your audience wants to see.
Yeah, and we don't have to fly. I was talking with someone this other day. We don't have to flyer as much as we all used to because of social media and things like that.
Yeah.
But back in the day, I remember that was all you had.
Oh yeah,
was your flyers.
Yeah, that's still something I still feel is important because I feel you get your flyers and your social media, and if people see it everywhere and in different types of venues, they connect with it a little more, and I still feel like flyers is important, but I do also agree. Social media has made it very easy.
I think you have to pick your spots. Like if I was to go in Charlotte right now and put a poster up, or in fact, like when we did ZaneBash last year, I went to the Diamond, I went to Common Market, and I went to certain places that I knew would be friendly to those kind of things and my people, So yeah, it was. It's just that's how the game. All that's different. You have to be social media savvy now. You have to be all over the place. But
you have to manage a brand. So imagine if you went to some company, like a small company, like I've managed my own brand for the last 10 years. That is my experience.
Yeah.
And I think people in our situation, we don't realize how valuable we are to other businesses that probably don't have that knowledge, because we've been out touching people, gaining our own audience just off ourselves. And imagine if we work for a small company.
It's hard to write that on a resume.
It is. Trust me, I've tried.
Yeah, it's hard.
So,
and that's how it is. It's one of those things that I don't have as much time to push all that right now because of the kids. And I know there'll be a season in life where that I will have the time again. The other thing that kicked my butt last year was when we did the second annual ZaneBash. We did. I started working on that, I think, in spring, and we had it in August, into August, and just keeping up with my children, and on top of that, designing stuff, working on the logo, dealing with booking the bands. There are a lot of friends, but having the bands play, getting raffle items, getting silent auction items, promoting online, trying to keep it, not overhyping it and not annoying people, but
making people aware.
Making them, just remind them so they know that such and such date we were having that event. It's a lot of work.
Yeah, well, again, you just mentioned it right there, but let's take a step back and let's talk about ZaneBash, but let's talk about your son Zane and why.
So
what and then we can get into why.
So Zane,
let's just talk about that.
So Zane is my second son. Our oldest is Kai. He's 3. So Zane is just shy of 2 now. Yeah. He was born. We knew, so the boys are 15 months apart, so we didn't have a lot of time in between.
Yeah.
So when we initially had our ultrasounds for Zane, they were like, oh, we noticed some things that maybe are some signs that are indicative of Down syndrome. And so we're like, okay, that's all right. Well, we'll see what happens. So then we go to these more intense ultrasounds where they can kind of tell you more. And they said, well, we think that it's pretty possibly it's Down syndrome. And so you're like, all right, well, we have tests for it. And I said, it doesn't really matter. It doesn't change anything. So we'll just wait.
You love your child.
Yeah, we'll just wait till he comes, And so we went in for a ultrasound, and they monitored him a lot more, or monitored my wife and him a lot more when they realized that he had some things that they needed to kind of pay attention to. We went into one of our final ultrasounds, and they realized he had fluid around his heart, which is like not a good thing. So we immediately were admitted to the hospital. He's all kinds of stuff's happened. His heart rate's dropping, which is not good, and so
inside the womb.
Inside the womb. Yeah,
pre-birth. This is,
and so he's we essentially were at the hospital for a couple of days. We decided to do C-section anyway, just to get him out. He goes right into the NICU. He's in there for 33 days. The condition that he had, the fluid around his heart, is a result. I'm so going to butcher this. It's called transient myeloproliferative disorder, TMD.
Okay.
What it essentially is, it looks like leukemia. It acts like leukemia, but it's transient, so it should go away. Should go away. So it wasn't clearing up right off, and so they treated him with chemo to get rid of the fluid and to get rid of the TMD. And eventually they just had to tap around his heart and pull the fluid. But anyway, so he had chemo basically 5 days after he was born. And he was 6 weeks early. So there's a lot that, anybody that's been in the NICU or experienced a NICU, it is, with a little baby like that, anything can happen, it seems like. They get jaundice or whatever. So he was there for 33 days. He was discharged. He was on oxygen for like 5 months maybe. He was on a heart monitor. So it was, anytime we hauled him around, it was like with cables and crap all hooked to us. It'd be like you, like,
my audio set up.
Yeah,
with
you'd be
baby.
like you being like an NPR reporter, and you're like out with your mic and your gear on and all your stuff. So that's what it's like. Yeah. And that's hard when they're a little baby. So anyway, long story short, he's better. He's way better now. He's actually doing awesome. But when we ended up, and it was like September, we did I think turn my phone off. We were raising money for the Down Syndrome Association.
Yeah.
And they have
before all this.
This is after. So Zane was born, and And so we ended up, they have this thing called the Buddy Walk. And since he had Down syndrome, we wanted to get involved in the community.
Yeah.
Well, so we raised money for the Buddy Walk. We made these cool Zane T-shirts, which if you know indie wrestling and you've seen Zane Riley, like I remember actually, and I remember I bring it to you.
Yes,
to
I
pass along.
wear it from time to time. I forgot to put it on this morning, but I
Oh,
definitely wear it on
All
Daddy.
right, so I gave you one
You
later
gave me
on,
one.
and then I've given a lot of people have them. I think depending on when I've.
And you know, side note that's a little bit funny. You did a great job picking out the cotton for those shirts.
Oh, those are the best shirts.
The softest, most.
Everybody says
shirts.
they love to work out in them.
I love wearing those shirts because they're so comfortable.
Yeah, so I
will definitely support like the ZaneBash because it's such a comfortable shirt.
Well, so we made these T-shirts. We raised money for the Down Syndrome Association. Well, I needed a spot for these people to come get their shirts. I'm not driving to all their houses. They're not coming to my house. So we decided, hey, you know what? We'll raise more money. We'll do it at Jack Beagle's in Noda. We'll have music. We'll sell the T-shirts. We'll give the T-shirts to the people that already purchased them kind of in advance. Perfect.
Yeah, so basically
that
this whole thing is just so you don't have to drive anywhere, but put on a concert so people can pick up the shirts.
So that was the first ZaneBash.
Okay.
Then we come around to the second year, working on the second year, and I decide that we didn't have a focus, like anything kind of in its infancy. We had the spot we were doing it. We knew what we were going to do. We were going to have music, raise money for something. Well, then we kind of came up with the idea of so many people loved on us when Zane was in the NICU for that month or so. So many people loved on us, got us gift cards, just crazy outpouring of love for our family.
Yeah.
And I am a terrible thank you note writer. So our thing was like, you know what? We need to pay it forward.
Yeah.
That's what we can do. That's a tangible thing we can do. So for the second year, we decided we would be about paying it forward. And the slogan we were kind of working off of was, what was it? Real gratitude moves us to action. Mm-hmm. So if you're thankful, pay it forward. So we do the second annual ZaneBash in August, and it was a success. We raised money for Camp Care, which is a local organization for kids with cancer, and they take them to a camp each year, and it's all paid for, and it's just a cool way to love on them. So we raised money for that. We have great music. I think we raised shy of $3,000 in like about 4 hours at Jack Beagle's. And so now I'm on this we're working on the third annual, and our thing is we're still focusing on the gratitude. That's what we're about. It's going to be music, gratitude, and giving. So that's what we do. And so yeah, that's coming up sometime August, September. I got to wait till the NFL finishes because we end up right around preseason. And preseason can hurt.
Yeah.
Turnout.
Yeah.
So,
and of course, it's pretty close to like
schools coming back in. It's a weird time,
Yeah.
And so I'm kind of waiting right now, but we're working on that right now. So I think this is something that will continue, which is really exciting to kind of have this thing, and it's a lot of work, and I'm starting now, so I'm not killing myself from June and July on.
Okay.
So ZaneBash, it's ZaneBash.com. And it's just, on our website, you have the story of Zane and why we're doing this. And this year we're going to work with the Mitochondrial Foundation, which I'll put more information about that later on. But it's exciting. It's nice to have something like this that is positive and we can pay it forward. Because, again, I'm not going to write thank you notes. I'm terrible at thank you notes.
So there was just an excuse out there.
Yeah, I just figured.
It's wonderful charity so I don't have to hand out T-shirts individually.
It's cool when you can use your talent. Like, and I noticed this with George South that, he gives a lot as far as, put on a show. And, people bring backpacks and raise money for organization or something like that. And you can use your talent and your friends, and do good. That's awesome.
Don't give that psychopath too much credit. I'm kidding. I sit next to him every week. But anyways, here's the tough one. Here's the Oprah Winfrey,
all
Barbara
right.
Walters question.
My tissue out.
Of it all. And this is, I think the real thing I wanted to get to was, your child was born with such difficulties and handicaps. And I know you want to do wonderful things, but how do you get from, like, instead of saying, I've got all this stuff, there's really not a lot I can do. I just need to focus on taking care of my child and make sure that all his needs are met. Like, how do you what is inside of you saying, instead of just focusing on this, I want to help other people? Like, you could have internalized everything that happened to you. Like, I need to focus on this. Everything I need to do, and all that energy that you put into ZaneBash, you could have solely put that into your kid. But the idea of, we received a lot of help. It's important for me to give other people the help that I received. Like, instead of internalizing it, you externalized it, and I think that is something extraordinary about you. That I think you and your wife, I think that's something that's incredible.
I think that was organic. Like, that was just a natural thing. What you realize when you go to like Levine Children's Hospital is that you don't have it that bad. There's some kids that have it really, it's crappy, and it's a reality check, and so first of all, everybody was showing love to us and helping us out, and in the end, Zane's doing great. He is cleared from everything. His heart is great. His blood work is great. He's just, if he were here right now, he's a terror. I love him, but he would be destroying stuff. He's in good health. He's
a young boy.
Yeah, he is a 2-year-old boy, and that's great. Some people don't have it that lucky. Mm-hmm. Some people. I met a grandmother in the hospital, and I think he's passed on now that I've kind of checked on him. But kids are dealing with these crazy diseases, and they're like 1, 2, 3, 4 years old. It's just, I don't know. It's a reality check. So when we got so much love, you realize that people are hurting a lot more than I was. And it was just a natural thing to just, I can't even explain it, just to pay it forward. And my wife and I both agreed that this is just something that it makes me feel good to do it, but I also realized that people did it to us without thinking of like, well, I expect a thank you note, or I want him to do something in return because we helped him out. They just did it because they cared. And I just turned it into something that, I don't know. I don't even know if that's not even a good answer, really. But
no, it's a great answer.
But it's just natural. There's no. It's like us. We were talking at the beginning. It's just something that just kind of happened, and you just feel it feels natural, and you don't even. I didn't even really internalize it that much. You just said, "Yeah, we're just going to pay it forward. This is a good thing to do." Everybody wants to. People want to help out, and they want a tangible way to help out. People wanted to help us. They offered us babysitting, all kinds of things.
That's the thing is, like, the people they hear your story, and it's a wonderful story on the website. I've read it before a couple of times, and I encourage everybody to go to the website and read it. And I don't know if I could have handled it as well as you did. Like I said, I would have internalized it and put everything into just that. But the fact that you externalized it and realize that, and also, like you said, give people an avenue to help. Like I hear the story, I'm like, how could I help? And then it's like, what do I don't know really where to go, what to do. But you've now given people a platform to do something good, and kind of that aspect that, like, it surprises you that, okay, there is good in people, because they want to know how and where they can do
people
good,
want to help,
and you've given them that platform.
And when you receive something like that, then when you receive something like that, maybe that's just it transformed you to want to, pass that along, because you realize people were selfless in helping you out, and then you want to be selfless and you want to help other people out if you can, if you have that, any tangible way you can help someone out or pay that forward. And it doesn't have to be a monetary donation. It doesn't have to be whatever. You just, if it's something you're good at, if something you can do, if you can watch a child for a little while, like we were at the NICU and someone would watch Kai, the oldest, while we were at the NICU. That's tangible and awesome, and that was selfless. So yeah, it's, who knows? Who knows where it'll go from here? As far as several years from now, will we still be doing the same kind of thing? But
what you did may inspire people to do other things.
I think,
and that's
I'm not sold on this, like, our little slogan or whatever, but I really do like the idea of music, as explains what it is, gratitude, and giving. That's what we do. That's exactly what it's about. It's a day of music, and then maybe down the road we'll become like a actual nonprofit, and then we can do other things.
Yeah, because I saw you trying to figure out how to do that.
But I think with anything, I'm not trying to get ahead of myself.
Yeah.
So it's like when that time comes, and we can explore other avenues to help people out, then we'll do that. But until then, we'll just focus on what we're doing right now.
I guess just let it happen organically.
Yeah, exactly.
Just kind of seeing everything.
That is me. I think that's just kind of like I feel like my wife and I are pretty easygoing, and many things are kind of organic how they kind of come about.
Mm-hmm.
Don't look with Zane. He's not walking yet. He's kind of walking around furniture and stuff, but we don't do physical therapy right now because everything he's done on his own. Mm-hmm. And I respect that more, that he's learned how to do things on his own than than having someone here all the time working with him. Yeah. So it's just, maybe it's laziness. Maybe that's just what it is.
just let it come to me because I don't want to work on it.
Yeah. Maybe
it's that hippie aspect or something to it.
It probably is.
Maybe so. But no, I like I said, I think what you do is unbelievable. Like I often think about what I would do in those set of circumstances, and there's a lot of things, that because my sister, I just found out my sister is now pregnant with twins.
Did she have kids before that?
No.
Kids? Oh, wow.
And it's a big deal in our family because there's 3 kids, and I'm the only brother, the oldest brother. I'm kind of the expected one.
Right.
So there's been a lot of pressure on me to have kids
yes.
because it carries on the family name. But my dad, my sister's the only one that's married. And at her wedding, she married a man that has already had a child from a previous relationship. And the child was like 13, 14 years old when the wedding had. Yeah, it was a little older. And of course, Dad made this is nice to have. We have a grandkid, and it's nice. And then in the middle of the wedding, he goes, I think it's great, Cameron, that you're part of our family and stuff like that, and your great granddaughter. But what I want is some real grandkids, and I want them now. And he said this in the middle of the wedding reception. Yeah. I want grandkids now. And this was probably 5 years ago. So my dad's been waiting for this. So the fact that he's getting twins is it's about time I'm getting 2 of them.
Lose it. Yeah. You're going to lose it.
And my sister's been trying for a while, but she wasn't expecting to get twins.
And it takes pressure off you.
Oh, I called her right away, and she goes, "I know you're telling."
What can I do for you?
Yeah, exactly. That's what I told her, and so I was like, and that's the thing is I had real conversation with her. I called her not to say congratulations, but also tell her thank you. She goes, "Oh, I know exactly why you're saying thank you."
Oh yeah.
Because she
twins,
knows.
I mean, we have two that are 15 months apart. Mm-hmm. Twins, you're man on man immediately, and they're both the same age, and they're
like I said, me and my sister are very realistic, and that's kind of the way we grew up because our mom's very straight to the point. Like, what's the real matter situation? I'm like, talking to my sister, I'm like, well, see, now you don't have that room to screw one up and then make it up on the other. You got to write twice. And then also too, they were talking about double your baby costs and everything else, all at once.
It'll be awesome, and they'll grow up so close. And then my kids are so close, and 15 months apart is nothing. When you
because
get past a certain age.
That's how my family was. My sister Darcy is. Just shy of 2 years younger than me, and then my sister Lindy is probably within about 15 months of Darcy, pretty close. We're all within almost a 3-year gap.
And that's great. It's hard at that time for your parents when you were little. It's a pain in the butt.
We were awful.
But when you get past a certain point, there's such benefit to that.
Yeah, and so I definitely because me and my sister Darcy are, like I said, very close, and the fact that we could have a conversation of this will be your baby cost, we have real conversations that real people would have. We don't,
my brother and I are 4 years apart. My sister and I are 7 years. Yeah. But older sister, older brother. But my brother and I, we probably didn't really start hanging out until we passed the 18-year-old mark. Maybe till I was 18. Then you get closer because it's more in common at that point. But
because we were all 3 in high school together.
So, and
of course, I was a senior.
God bless your parents, man.
Yeah.
Jeez.
And the thing is, too, you got girls and boys, so you don't have the same activities. It'd be different if you had 3 boys and they were all on the football team together, but you have now, girls that are doing girls stuff and boys that are doing boys stuff. And then also, too, my youngest sister was an artist, so she had art things. Yeah. And then my Darcy was doing, social stuff like National Honor Society plays, cheerleading. I'm doing football. I'm doing all the other stuff. So.
I mean, that's I can't even imagine at that point down later in life, because I know it's going to. I think now it's busy. I know it's just going to get crazier.
Yeah, and you got 2 boys that are going to be close. And
oh man, yeah, they kick my butt. Just having off yesterday, they're exhausting. But hey, twins, it's good. You can go do uncle duties.
I know.
Head back in town.
2 of them.
She live where you're from still?
She's in Florida right now.
Oh, Florida.
Yeah,
Okay.
we're from Iowa. So.
Yeah, y'all.
But my parents helped my sister buy a house with the condition that they had a guest house on the property. So they got a much nicer house than they do, but they have a guest house. And my dad is freaking out because the guest house is not ready. And he goes, I can't have grandkids walking around this area. I have to get it done. So he's under all this pressure. And for somebody that's been putting people under pressure for having grandkids, he should have been more prepared.
Yeah, absolutely.
So
yeah, man, yeah, twins. That's good. Gosh,
just found that out a few days ago.
That's pretty awesome.
And my sister's still pretty taken aback by it, but I think she'll handle it. She's very much a multitask thing.
It's anything like that. You get thrown that, you have to sort of change your perception of what you thought things were going to be. Mm-hmm. Just like having a child with Down syndrome, you find out that it's possible. You have to grieve the fact that what you thought is not happening, and this is what's going to happen. But it takes a little bit to just get used to that. Mm-hmm. But when you do, man, you have to embrace it. And you say you don't know what you would do. Either did I. You get thrown in stuff, and then you figure it out. And anybody can do it. People would say, I don't know how you did it when he was in the NICU or when he had oxygen and all this stuff. And I say, you just do it. Mm-hmm. You just take care of business. And then you see other people that are having harder times than you, and you realize that you can't really complain that much. It's not as bad, and you just do it. And you just like you, man. You just do it. You're out doing all kinds of stuff, man. I think that's all, and that's awesome. And you like in
I'm
this
doing.
case,
I don't know how well I'm doing.
No, but you're doing it. I think but you just do it. You just don't internalize it too much. Don't whatever. You just do it. So anyway.
All right. Well, I think that's a fantastic place to kind of jump off. You wrapped it up in a nice little bow there. You were a little worried
I watch a lot of Dad, You Don't Work at Wrestle, and I've been studying the how we close out.
Okay, well you didn't get all crazy on me in the middle there. so you didn't take you took the notes at the end, which I'm having a hard time doing closing that show right now because I'm plugging my Twitter and it's like I lost my rhythm there. So
you plug your Twitter on there?
Yeah, I just started.
I haven't seen the past couple.
I just started the last month. I feel like that's very important. It's actually got a little bit of response.
Yeah.
But before I was like, man, I've got this platform that 200 people watch. But
hey, it doesn't matter. 200. You get a few people retweeting that stuff, and
yeah,
all of a sudden
it seems to happen that way. So speaking of social media, how can we get up with you? How can people book you?
Yeah.
How can people find out about you and ZaneBash and everything else?
If you go, for music wise, John Dungan Music, JohnDungan Music, mm-hmm. And that has all social media on there. So okay. Twitter, YouTube, Facebook, Instagram has all those. And then for ZaneBash, there might be a link on there for ZaneBash, but probably not. ZaneBash is just ZaneBash.com. And that has, I'll be updating that slowly as the
because you're getting pretty close
come
to put
together. I'll start updating it more and more. But there are pictures from past shows and I'm trying to think what else. And Zane Story. And so ZaneBash.com and John Dungan Music, but all the social media is on each one of those, just to
follow up.
Yeah, which is no one checks websites anymore.
Yeah,
they're getting on Twitter or Facebook or whatever. So, mm-hmm. But we definitely we make a presence. We try not to be too annoying, mm-hmm. as some people I'm sure on social media can be. But we just put it out there. If you want to follow us, you can, because you always have the benefit of unfollowing us.
Yeah. if it gets too crazy, or if you're like, I'm already going, I'll just unfollow.
See you later.
Nothing more you can tell me is going to be before. I'm going. So
well, thank you for doing this. I really
thank you for taking the time today, John, and thank you for welcoming me in your home. And
absolutely.
Maybe we can do this again, or maybe we can do something a little bit closer to the ZaneBash or something.
Absolutely,
like that.
Cool.
All right.
Thanks, man. Appreciate it.
Thank you for your time.